and welcome to this little video about the targeted job application, which you can use for both applying for internships, student jobs, or graduate jobs. My name is Heidi. I am a career consultant from AAU Careers, and I'll take you through this little tips and tricks. When you talk about writing an application letter, you are focusing on the future. If you've seen the video on this page about CVs as well, you will know that we talked about the past in that video, where the CV is about the facts in the past, still targeted. But the application letter is where you write yourself into this specific job or internship. This is where you give your ideas and your ways of how you would do things, how you would help out the company or organization with their things to be done. And also, this is where you explain the relevant competences and the problem-based learning that we have at AAU. So you focus on the center of the circle, you focus on the problem, on the challenge to be solved in that specific case. If you don't have a job or internship advertisement, you need to do some research yourself and give some ideas about what could you help them with, how would you do that? So you start with their issue, like what is it that they need to have solved? What kind of tasks needs to be done? How would you do that with your competences? True, of course, the experience and training you have from your program, your education, your experience, and of course your personality. And it is important that you show your motivation and the match, because we know from recruitment analysis, this one from Balisager, that so many companies experience that the applicant does not really show the motivation for that specific job. And motivation is not that it's good for your career to apply for it. That's your motivation, your own individual motivation. But the company is interested in knowing why are you interested in exactly their place, this job, that the way that they do things. That's motivation. And also, the experience out there that a lot of applicants do not describe the match, the professional match between the company and oneself. Remember, you need to help them understand what you are about, your profile. They cannot figure it out themselves if you don't help them. So when you do a job application, it needs to be targeted every time. As it is with the CV, I need, as the reader of your job application, the receiver of it, to see that this is for me, this is for my company, my organization. Maximum 1 page in Denmark. We have a structure that is about a headline, not dear Mr. and Mrs. We don't really use that in Denmark. Instead, make an interesting headline. And you could also make subheadings, like down in the application, of course. I gave an example here. Creative mind with a digital toolbox hopes to be part of your company. Then you start your application with a motivation part. What is so great about this specific place, as I just said before. Then you do the match part. You match the demands, the needs that they have in that position. And again, if you don't have an advertisement where they describe it themselves, you give your ideas to what to be done there. Remember that you start with what is important for them. When it comes to analyzing and designing, I have experience doing so through this and this and this. And then you end it with your personality. How are you as an employee, as a colleague to work with? Look through your application to see how many of your sentences start with I, my, me. And if there's too many of them, you need to change it. Start with what is important for the place that you're applying. When it comes to analyzing the needs of this project, I have experience doing so through this and this. I would help you do that and that and that. Tell them how you can help with it. What's in it for them? Yes. Here's an example of an application just to show it to you. The headline, the title, motivation, smaller headlines, the part where you match, and then something about you and your motivation again. You can find this in AAU Careers website. There's many ways to do it, of course. This is just one example among many. So go in there and look more in details about how we suggest you could do it. Here's a little exercise you could do to do a research and analysis on what do you know about the job, What are they asking for? And what do you bring with you? How do you match it? How do they ask it to be done? The behavior that they ask for, both how you do the tasks, but also how is it to be an employee here with your colleagues? And then you, of course, match that with your behavior and your preferences, of course. So that's a little way that you can do it. Finally, almost, I just want to remember to say you need to target your application. I know I said it already. I'll say it again. It's very, very important. Think in this structure again. You, we, I. You is the receiver of the application. What is my motivation for applying for this place at you, with you? And then the part is we, where you match the receiver and you as an applicant. How do I match your needs? And then the final part about your personality, I as an applicant. Who and how am I as a colleague and an employee? Yes, this was very brief. You can find much more information on our website. Also, we're on Facebook. And also I want to mention the job bank that we have, where you can find job advertisement, internship advertisements. And of course, dare to dream, go for it. Go use us, of course. You can, of course, find information on our website, but also contact us. You can see our email addresses here for Aalborg, Esbjerg, and Copenhagen. So just dare to dream, go for it, and take care. Bye-bye.